Monster Hunter Rise is a huge game with a lot of mechanics to learn and keep track of. And when I first started playing the Monster Hunter series, I remember how overwhelming it could all be. I want everyone to be the best hunter they can, so I've made this beginner's guide to help you on your way. Let's begin our beginner's guide to help you get started in Monster Hunter Rise. There's some controls and settings you might want to change to make the game feel a bit more comfortable. The first one I'd recommend is your camera distance. This one is pretty self-explanatory. You'll be able to see a lot more of what's going on your screen. The next setting I recommend you change is dash from R to L3. L3 is the default sprint button in most other games, and having it on R just feels clunky to me. The next thing you want to do is change your item bar and action bar around. You use your item bar way more than your action bar, so having it on your D-pad just makes more sense. Your settings should look like how mine do on screen now. Also, change what your A, B, X and Y buttons do when you're pressing L. This allows you to go into the different shortcuts while you're in your radial menu. Also, change your map button so it's a one-time press of the select button that brings it up. Side note, if you're playing with Joy-Cons and handheld, you might want to adjust your sensitivity a little bit, but honestly, I recommend picking up a Pro controller for way more comfort. You can pause the game from the menu here, but monsters that are trying to kill you, they're not going to allow that to happen. There's no time for that. Here's a better, simpler way to do it. If you press the home button on your Switch, when you go back into the game, you find that the game is now paused, but this only works for solo hunts. If you do this in multiplayer, you will get kicked from the game. Eating in Monster Hunter is essential. You want to make sure you visit the canteen before every hunt you do. It gives you a sizable health and stamina boost every time you eat that will scale up as you progress through the game. And new to Monster Hunter Rise are Bunny, Dango. These are skills that have a percentage chance to activate when you eat. If you want to guarantee the skills activation, you can use a Dango ticket. You get more skills as you progress through the game and complete quests, but make sure you choose skills that will complement your hunt. There is no sense choosing fire resistance if you're fighting a water elemental monster. And also, don't worry if you forget to eat in the Kimura village canteen. You can always eat at your tent when you're on a hunt. In addition to this, while you're on a hunt, always grab the easy rations and first aid kit items from your supply box next to you at the start of a hunt. These items have a blue and white marker on them, which means they can only be used in that hunt and cannot be brought back with you after, so make sure you use them first while healing. They give you a quick and free way to restore health and stamina without using your best items. Everything you discover in Monster Hunter Rise is saved in your hunter notes. This is useful to find out more about the monsters you're hunting, their threat level, ecology and biology, physiology, what they're weak to in the ailments tab, and what materials they can drop. The materials tab is one you're going to be referring to a lot when you want to know what drops from what monster. And also the materials that drop are different in low rank and high rank. The same goes for small monsters and endemic life. The hunter info will teach you what everything means. If you forget something in a tutorial, this is where you'll find it again and more. There's a whole bunch of information about the game in there, so take the time to read these notes for a better understanding if you get stuck. The training room is amazing this time around. I can't stress enough how important it is when starting out to try different weapons here and learn your combos. Some weapons are easier than others, but none of them are weaker than others. So just pick whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you think looks the coolest, to be honest. To select a weapon you want to try in the training room, go to your item box, manage equipment, change equipment, and select whichever weapon you want to try. Firstly, mess around with the combos shown on screen. Then, once you're comfortable, open your start menu, go over to the info tab, hunter notes, weapon controls to learn more about the combos and the silkbind attacks. Bear in mind, this does not show you all of the weapons possibilities, and chances are you're going to be mid-hunt and something's going to happen and you'll say, oh, I didn't know you can do that, but there are loads of in-depth weapon guides on YouTube to help you along also. Side note here, the training dummy will not attack you back, and of course in a real hunt the monster will be trying to kill you, but for the sake of learning a monster's moveset, don't underestimate just going into a hunt and watching the monster's attack pattern. Knowing how to react to a monster is one of your biggest strengths in combat. Some monsters' attacks will catch you off guard or seem unavoidable. When you know this is going to happen, put your weapon away and run with your back towards the monster and press evade. You'll dive out of the way, and the reason this is important because it gives you invincibility frames, meaning you'll take no damage. This changed the game for me when I learned it, so please incorporate it into your gameplay. Speaking of invincibility, if you do get knocked down, you're also invincible. You need to bear this in mind because some monsters have very fast follow-up attacks that if you were to get up, you probably would have been hit, so make sure you stay down sometimes. Your Palamute isn't just good for getting around fast. Something that I found useful is using them in combat to keep you mobile while you sort yourself out. Sharpen weapons, heal up with some extra movement. Speaking of sharp weapons, make sure your weapon is always above yellow sharpness. If not, you'll start doing reduced damage and your weapons will start to bounce off certain monster parts. Some side quests are retroactive in Monster Hunter Rise, meaning even though you don't have a certain side quest available yet and you pick up an item needed for said future quest, it will still count. So make sure you collect absolutely everything you see. In addition to that, a lot of armor needs bone and ore as well, and it is the worst when you're one material shy of crafting a piece. It's better to have it and not need it, to need it and not have it. Trust me, just do it. Additionally, bone piles, mining spots, and account item spots refresh after a certain period of time, so you can collect them again while you're hunting. Collect everything. Always upgrade your armor. Don't hold materials forever because you're going to be chopping and changing frequently. Be on the lookout for armor skills that will complement your weapon type. You can just craft the whole armor set, but sometimes you'll end up with skills that you don't need or that are not beneficial to your weapon type. So I personally choose armor based on skills, which means mixing different armor sets together. You can choose skills a lot more deliberately this way. I do this by going to the Armor Forge menu, selecting ZR to see the skills, then going through the available armor to find skills that are beneficial to me. Pressing R3 will also explain what the skill does and its benefits the higher level the skill is. You gain more skill levels by having more pieces of armor, decorations and talismans with said skill. Doing it this way, you'll end up looking ugly most of the time, but the synergy with your weapons and armor skills will increase your overall combat efficiency and in most cases cause you to do more damage. Additionally, crafting different gear for yourself gives you armor scraps. These scraps let you craft different gear for your buddies. Talk to the Palico blacksmith next to the smithy to spend your scraps on cute but deadly outfits. You can bring 2 traps with you on a hunt. What I typically do is use one to immobilize the monster and get free damage off, and one for capturing the monster. There's also environmental hazards you can use to your advantage as well, pitfall traps in the sandy plains, and flash bugs to blind monsters. Speaking of capturing monsters, 90% of the time I capture the monsters that I'm hunting. It's easy to forget when you're fully in the combat flow, but you want to capture monsters when they're weak enough. You'll get more materials after the hunt and it saves you so much time. I hope this beginner guide helped you out. If it did, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Also, be sure to check out our other guides like our hunting commentary video where I do a play-by-play of a hunt explaining what and why I do what I'm doing, or our wyvern riding guide. Take care everyone, happy hunting.